career. He served as chairman of Aerolog Express Private Limited, board of Asia Air Freight Terminals Company Limited, as well as Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. He was president of SIA Group Sports Club from 2008 to 2009. His past and present director positions include that in Asia Pacific Star Private Limited and Keppel Telecommunications and Transportation Limited. Mr. Singh held board member positions in Z Airport Services, Z Investments Private Limited, Z Catering and Meet Airport Services, Air Transport Action Group, Public Transport Council, the Logistics Institute, and Industry User Council Logistics and Transport. Besides the corporate arena, Mr. Kamjit Singh was also actively involved in other organizations and committees. He was a board governor at Raffles Girls Secondary School, a board member at Fathering Center, and has been a member at India Networking Steering Committee since December 2004. He has been on government committee since 2008 as a member, panel of judges, DBS SICCI Singapore Indian Entrepreneur Award. He was also a member at Maritime R&D Advisory Panel from 2003 to 2004. Mr. Kamjit Singh graduated from the University of Singapore with a Bachelor of Arts Honours degree, majoring in Geography. Currently, Mr. Kamjit Singh sits in the board of Keppel Telecommunications and Transportation Limited and is an independent and non-executive director and a member of the Audit Committee. So without further ado, let us put our hands together and welcome Mr. Kamjit Singh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pham. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I noticed your laugh in geography was mentioned. This is not unusual because people think that you're studying rocks and stones, and soil. But let me assure you, we were very fortunate that we had that background. Many of us did geography because it's an integrative discipline. That means then you put a little bit of rojak and steal from every other discipline, including business and economics. So in a sense, we are thieves of knowledge. What I'm going to share with you today, Keppel wanted me to focus on leadership, and I had a choice of looking at theories of leadership the way you look at textbooks, and I opted not to do that because you can read your textbook yourself, and I'm sure your professors will be able to treat that subject better than I do. I chose to take an approach, and there will be three parts to my session. One, to share with you quickly the background of Singapore Airlines from its early beginnings, from the days of separation of the old Malaysia-Singapore Airlines, from the split onwards, and how we grew rapidly. Then second part, I will share with you some of the corporate missions and values, objectives, and philosophy of that management team. Because you cannot transform a small little airline with aeroplane to a big international global airline competing in all markets of the world if the management team doesn't have some strong leadership attributes and qualities, and I'll try to share that with you. And finally, I will share with you my own personal experience as a leader and part of the team, and what is that I learned that you would be able to learn from me in terms of the traits, and hopefully practice some of those attributes if you choose to be a leader. And I make a distinction between a manager and a leader. There are two different things. It takes a bit more to be a leader. A manager, everybody likes to be technically sound, but leadership requires a bit more. And I hope to bring these elements out in the course of presentation. Okay, that would be the first part of the session. Take an overview of Singapore Airlines business, its history, achievement, core strengths, network strategy, fleet strategy, people, product, leadership, innovation. So that's the mission of the company, to be a global company. Look at the word global company. From the beginning, the mission was to be global, very clear. In air transportation services of the highest order, and to maximize returns for the benefit of shareholders. I leave you to pick out the key words, but I will come back to the philosophy and say why this mission has been very crucial. Many airlines that never follow the mission got into trouble. And I highlight this mission because it keeps the management team sharply focused on the mission, because sometimes you get directors and managers very excited, let us go to this business, let us go to hotels, let us go to car rentals. And ladies and gentlemen, airlines like United Airlines, all Nippon, Japan Airlines, they all went berserk way back in the early 70s. They bought hotels, they bought car rental companies. What happened? They lost focus on the core business, airline business, and the rest is history. Many of them have floundered. Okay, so this is significance of having a mission statement and getting a management team to stick to it. Very roughly, the group has got about 22,000 staff, with third largest ranking airline RPK, 16 million passengers were carried in 2009-10, group revenue 16 billion. This group revenue has come down during the crisis the last 2 years, and I think they started creeping up. They haven't recovered that amount yet. It flies over 62 destinations in 34 countries, but if you add SilkAir and SU Cargo Network, then you're looking at 97 destinations and 39 countries. The passenger fleet of SIA alone is 109. If you include the fleet of SilkAir, which is one of the subsidiaries, and include the fleet of SIA Cargo, then it's 140. The airline was formed in 1947. Not many know the background of SIA. We trace back the history in 1947 when they were flying Airspeed Council. A replica is found in the Science Center. Those who've been in the Science Center, the Airspeed Council is lying there. And it used to fly Singapore, KL, and Ipoh. Just digest that for a moment. Singapore, KL, Ipoh. Today, Ipoh is not even an aviation hub. Singapore, KL, and Penang. But this is the kind of thing that people forget. The Singapore, KL, Ipoh, Penang. And that was 3 times a week. Today, you've got several services a day into KL. The market is opened up. In 1963, it became the Malaysian Singapore Airlines. In 1972, the split took place because of the political separation between Malaysia and Singapore. They decided to go their way, and SI decided to go its own way. Now, the significant thing is the leadership in SI saw opportunities. When they took over 10 707s, and it's very small, old 737 fleet. But the vision from the outset that we should take advantage of traffic rights and grow globally. The Malaysians, their priority at that time was to focus on domestic routes. So therein lies a fundamental difference in vision and therefore strategy. Malaysia domestic, and Singapore, you can't fly to Seletar and Tengah and Jurong. They had to look at a global perspective. And I just want to highlight a few interesting things here, because if you look at 1984, first to fly non-stop London-Singapore. 1991, first with in-flight telephones. First to launch audio-video on demand. First to launch in-flight file email. World's longest non-stop flights, and I can go on and on. The point is, innovation is very much central to SI management philosophy. How to differentiate your product and your service? How do you differentiate yourself from the other airlines and the competition? And hence all this first. The entire team is primed from day one. Even if you come in young AO, the first thing you'll be given project, and you'll be forced to crack your brain to come up with some ideas. Doesn't matter how small the idea is. Okay. So this is the why I chose to highlight some of the firsts. The good strategy is very, very simple. Focus on core airline business. I mentioned about how airlines strayed away earlier. Hotel, car rental companies got into trouble. SIA did stray once. They bought a hotel in Makati, Manila, called Trade Winds. Would you like to guess what happened? Lost money, closed down. Nobody talks about it. Okay, so that's a very good example. See how your focus, don't have competence, take your eyeballs away, goes off. The group, part of the group's core focus is also the other supporting services, aircraft maintenance and repair. So today, there's a big subsidiary which I will show you after, called SI Engineering Company. It's the core, it supports airlines because they control safety of the fleet. And then you have your other subsidiaries like SAC, SilkAir, SI Cargo, all subsidiaries. And the reason why you spin subsidiaries, they're all divisions, but as the divisions grew bigger and bigger, management felt that accountability was missing. All right? And then you spawn subsidiaries and empower management to be more bottom line oriented. When you are a division of an airline, you're a cost center. But when you are an SBU, or when you become a subsidiary, you're invariably profit-centered. You run like a business, bottom line focus, apart from the usual services. So it forces change of mindset, and that drives the thinking and the future growth of that particular SBU. And of course, the strategy is to supplement organic growth through strategic stakes in other airlines. Now here it's interesting, is you would have seen that SIA has got stake in Virgin Atlantic, and that was for strategic reasons. We could not get bilateral traffic rights to operate out of London to the States. Despite lobbying for a decade, despite briefing British parliamentarians, bringing them here, feeding them, dining them, it didn't work. You only got service incrementally. But when you order aeroplanes, you order almost 5-6 years in advance, and for this you need traffic rights, a pipeline of traffic rights. So we felt that, okay, the indirect way of doing it was to take a stake in Virgin Atlantic. That's what happened. And with Virgin Atlantic, we have codeshares, we're able to expand beyond the normal bilateral agreements.